Hello, I'm J Dent. I'm the author of this novel, Myth, which I'm going to read an extract from today. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, just give you sort of a bit of background into the extract that I'm going to read. What's happened essentially, it's a horror novel, or a fantasy novel, or a mixture of both really, it's a sort of a retelling of the Greek myth about Bellerophon and the Chimera, and in a modern day setting. And at the moment there is someone who's going through a sort of mental, not a physical, transformation into the mythical creature, the Chimera. And what's happened is that he's now going down, or it is going to a Greek village after being imprisoned up in the hills, going down to a Greek village to rescue a woman who's being held captive by two Greeks. And the point that I'm now going to read from, just prior to that, the Chimera has gone into the church tower and is working his way down the stone steps to the bottom, where there are two men and a captive woman, and the Chimera's mission in this chapter is to free the woman and somehow subdue the two men. The Chimera stood at the top of the stone steps that led down from the church's bell tower to the large room below. It could hear the two men talking quietly, and it could hear the chink of coins and the soft shifting of paper. It knew they were engrossed in something trite, and it was vaguely interested because it was attempting to gauge the possible speed of their reactions while so distracted. Slowly, stealthily, it moved down the stone steps. As it descended, it noticed the length of rope that hung from the single church bell, rope that it had, until recently, needed so desperately. It grimaced in the dark, a flash of anger suffusing it, because it hadn't thought to come to the church and take the rope. Then it was once more concentrating on its stealthy approach, the rope completely forgotten, as it moved from step to step. By the time it had reached the bottom of the stairway, it had used all of its considerable senses to map out the room it was approaching. It knew where the men were sitting and where the woman was in proximity to them. It also knew a few other details: how much each man weighed, which of them was the stronger, which one had the fastest reflexes, and which one was slightly afraid. It knew that the woman could sense its approach, but it also knew she would not let the men know. Pleased, it peered around the door frame. The room was as it had surmised. The men were exactly where they were supposed to be, so, without a pause, it advanced on them. The shadow fell across the table they were using for the card game, and Ari knew that it was the Chimera. His heart beating fast, he pulled the pistol from his belt and spun on his seat, aiming it at the beast. A steel-fingered grip locked around his wrist, checking his movements. The Chimera's other hand gripped his throat. Choking, he was lifted clear of the chair. In the next instant, he was staring into the blazing eyes of the Chimera.